YouTube, what's up? I know y'all know I don't normally talk on my videos, but today I got a special guest. My mom is gonna be making her sweet potato pie for y'all. It is to die for, and y'all are going to love it. So, without further ado, here is my mom. She gonna talk y'all through it. She gonna let you know how she do what she do.
Hello, 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 YouTubers and all y'all supporters of Exceptional Bites. Like she said, we about to make this sweet potato pie, and it is to die for. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you, first of all, I try to prepare my crust first. And so here's my pie shell that I'm gonna use. And then what I'm gonna do with it is I'm gonna take some butter and I'm gonna take a fork, but I'll take my butter, my stick of butter, and I'm gonna just kind of hit the bottom of it. Just greasing the bottom of it. And because I'm gonna put this in the oven. And I'm gonna put it in the oven so it can kind of crisp up a little bit. Because you know it ain't nothing like biting in the sweet potato pie and you don't know whether you done got to the crust from the sweet potato. So I like to have a little crunch at the end. And be careful when you're doing this and it won't hurt to soften your butter up just a little bit. You know, normally I like to do this like right on the frozen shell, but we took it out and it's been sitting out quite a bit. So anyway, when you're done with the butter down there, or what you can do too, you can melt the butter a little bit, and then just pour a little bit in there and swirl it around like that. But then you're gonna take a fork and you're just gonna put you some holes in the bottom of it. This way it helps it crisp up a little bit more, because it helps the hose helps the air get in through the pie shell, and so you want to put you a few holes in it, just like this. And I don't know why I feel like I'm trying to rush this through. You know, a good sweet potato pie is, you take your time on that. But anyway, so after you've gotten a few holes in it, you don't have to go crazy or nothing, but of course it looked like I'm going crazy with it, but actually I'm not. If you can kind of see the holes in it, what I did. Okay, and I'm gonna put this in the oven at 350 for about 5 or 6 minutes. So get ready to do that. And now while that's getting ready in the oven, of course, you know you boil your sweet potatoes. I always boil mine on top of the stove or the oven. Not in the oven, but on top of the stove. I always boil mine. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of vanilla in the water, just so it can kind of flavor the sweet potatoes a little bit. But then you're going to peel them. And they fairly easy to peel. They hot, but they fairly easy to peel once you boil them. So you're going to peel them. Uh-oh, that left the piece right there. So you'll peel them. Ooh, these things are hot. Honey. It's like playing hot potato. Drop that thing. All right. I don't like this little stuff on the end. You know, at the end of it, where it's kind of dark. I don't like that. So I normally take that off of there. Yeah, I get that out of there. Don't nobody want to see a big spud in a sweet potato. Plus, it don't taste good. All right, so we peeling them. Get them all peeled first. Fairly easy. Ooh, that's hot. There's another one of them black things. I don't like that. But then I still want to keep some of my potato because you know this is good potato too. So I'm going to get that off there just like so. And then we're going to add some, we'll start adding our stuff. I kind of like to move mine around just a little bit with my fork. Another little small peeling right there. So we'll get that out. And just kind of mash it up a little bit with your fork. Just like that. Now I'm going to be using some butter. I'm going to use a stick of butter as well. And I'm going to put it right on in there. I kind of put it in the microwave and nuked it just a little bit so it could be a little soft. And that's what you see right there. You kind of grab a spoon because you know you want all this little good juice right there. All that good juice out. Okay, so now I know you know that as Quinn said, she normally don't talk in her videos, so this is gonna be a treat. See, you get to hear some voices. And then another thing she don't do is she just don't normally use measuring because she's a to taste kind of person. But I'm gonna use my measuring spoons today. But I'm gonna tell you what I always start off with, because some people like their pie a little sweeter than others. And then some people, you know, like it not as sweet. So I'm gonna start off with a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And let me get it. And you don't have to pack it. And you don't have to pack it or anything. And this is like it's gonna be one pie. So don't pack it though. You're just gonna get about a half of a cup of brown sugar. Then you're gonna take a 1/2 cup to a cup of granulated sugar. Okay, and so you don't want to come out of there. All right, here's your 1/2 cup. And I say that because you seen I only had 3 sweet potatoes. And so you don't want to put too much because you just don't want to make it super sugary. And it's really not going to taste good. So as I'm looking at that, like I said, about a 1/2 cup to a cup. And that's a 1/2 cup of each right now, of brown, and a 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar. And then to that, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Sorry I didn't show it to you. But a teaspoon of vanilla. This is my 1/2, so I'm going to be doing 2 of these. You know, when you go over there and you just pick it up. And you know, towards the end, before I put the egg in it, I'm going to taste it because before the egg gets in it. And then that way, if I feel like it needs a little bit more vanilla or nutmeg or something like that, then I can put it in there. Now I'm going to go with the allspice. We'll take the allspice. And I'm going to take the top off because I want to use, I'm going to start with my 1/2 teaspoon as well on this one. Kind of like top that off a little bit. That's a 1/2 teaspoon of the allspice. And I'm going to try and stick with my halves until I taste it, because it ain't nothing like getting too much in there and then you ruin your pie. So next we're going to do nutmeg. And the same, I'll take my top off. It's just going to be a half a teaspoon. I'm going to do some cinnamon. And my cinnamon, I'm just going to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. I like to do lemon juice in mine a little bit. Sometimes I'll do pineapple juice. But this time I'm going to use lemon juice because I use lemon juice as well. So I'm going to do a little lemon juice in it right there. And it is going to be about 1/4 of a teaspoon of the lemon juice as well. I might do a teaspoon. That didn't look like enough. You know how sometimes when you cook and you put those spices on there, you be like, nah, that ain't enough. So actually, that was a teaspoon. I mean, that wasn't a 1/4 of a teaspoon. It was, I used 2/4 of a teaspoons on that, okay? I did that twice. Then I'm going to just mix it all in. Oh, the smells, man. I'm telling you, if you could smell this. Woo. And I know, you know, when you look at some of these YouTube channels, you probably see people do things so many different ways. Because everybody got their grandma recipe. And so they do things a lot, ways that their family, you know, things that was handed down in their family, traditional style type meals and stuff like that. And of course, there's no right and no wrong way to do it, as long as it's going to taste good. That's the end. It's just as long as it tastes good. That's what you want. All right, I'm going to grab my mixer because I'm going to mix this so it's smooth. And then I'm going to taste it after all of the seasonings and stuff have been mixed in and married together. And then I'll taste it. And if it tastes good, we don't have to add anything else. Then we're gonna drop our egg in it, and then it's gonna go to the oven. And it's gonna go to the oven on 350. And I usually do it 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. But then I'm checking it too, because you know you don't want it to burn, and then you don't want it to dry out either. So now while I'm waiting on that, I put my pie crust in there. And it's still in there. I'm smelling it a little bit. I had to check on it, but I smell it a little bit. I kind of want it to get it just a little crunchy. So I'm going to turn my oven up to 370. Kind of speed it along just a little bit. And then let me get my mixer. And then we're going to mix this till it's smooth. Sometimes I use an immersion on this, but it can be a little silky if you don't watch what you're doing with the immersion blender. All right. And now comes the taste test to see if you got your spices right and you got your butter and your sugar content right. So we'll kind of lift that in there, get a little bit. All right, now I think I'm gonna need a little bit more sugar. Let me do that again. Not bad, but it does need more sugar. So what I'm gonna do, remember I said to almost a cup of the your granulated sugar. So I'm gonna take my other half of a cup of sugar. And there it goes. I too am going to do just a little bit more vanilla. And you know, I'm not really a measuring cup person either, but just for the sake of making a good pie, some people just like to know where to start at, you know. And so if you do it like this and you taste it, then you'll know exactly, hey, this tastes good, because you can taste the batter before you put the egg in it. And then you'll know that that's exactly what I want. So I feel like, because I'm not a measuring cup person, I feel like when I pour, I would have just poured it in there. All right. So we got that. Got that in there. Let me check on my pie crust. That was my oven. Let me see. About 3 more minutes is good. So what was it, about 10 minutes? I think it was about 10 minutes so far. But you just kind of want it to crisp up just before you put it in there. All right, now I'm going to taste this. And we're going to see. Sometimes when you're a home cook, you be wanting to get that same spoon. Did you see me reach for that spoon? But now I'm going to reach for it and I'm going to put it in the sink. Because you know you cooking for your family, and then you can taste it like that. But when you cooking for somebody else, or when you showing other people how to cook, they be like, she didn't wash. You know they be picking it out. She didn't wash. Did you see that? She used that same spoon. So we wasn't going to do that. So I'm going to taste this and I'm going to see. All right. Now I'm missing a couple of things, but not a lot. Woo. I told you I'm not a measurer, but just for the sake of measuring, let me find my cup. There it is. Ooh. I'm gonna do a cup. This is not gonna be a full cup. Yeah, there you go. For the brown sugar. And just because I added some more brown sugar to it, I'm gonna follow it with this half of a teaspoon of allspice. Because by the time I add the sugar to it, it's almost like it'll dilute it. And then another half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And we're good. I'm gonna get my crust out. It's nice and bubbly. Looking pretty good. Cracked up on one side though, but that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. But you see how it's kind of hard. It's not real hard, but it's kind of hard. So that way when you bite down in it, you will know, you know, when you've come through the sweet potato filling and you touch down to the crust, because then it's going to be a little crunchy. Just a little bit. Not a lot, because it do have the filling laying on it. So I'm going to mix this in again. And then it's ready for the bowl. Or the pie shell, rather. there we go. I'm gonna put these 2 eggs in it now, because remember we tasted it a couple of times. So now we're gonna put the egg in it, because then the egg is gonna make it firm. It's just gonna kind of firm everything up for you. And so because you gotta taste it before you put the raw egg in there, make sure it's to your liking and your sweet taste, however you want, okay? Be careful about your eggshells. Sometimes people crack them in a bowl, but I just give them a good hit. Put my eyes down on it. Make sure I don't get no shell. And there you go. Get my whisk and kind of whisk it in before I put the blender back on it, because you know that'll splash all over everywhere. All right. All right, let me blend this now. Ooh, can't lose my egg. All right. All right, there we go. Now we ready for this. Get it down in the pie shell. And I believe I will have some left over. You kind of want to just overfill it just slightly, because it's gonna sink down. It's gonna, I don't know what you call it when it sinks down, but it's gonna sink. It's gonna retract, maybe. If that's the word you want to use? I don't know. All I know is I watched it do that. All right. All right, you see, just overfill it just a little bit. So then that way, when it does shrink, it'll still cover your outer rim of your pie, okay? And now this is gonna go into the oven. And again, I got my oven on 350. I better turn it back down because I forgot about that. And then we're gonna bake it for 30 to 40 minutes. And you might get 45 minutes if you look at it and it's, you know what I'm saying, and it's the top is not browning or whatever. Then you just check on it. Just check on it. But again, about 30 to 40 minutes, give or take 5 minutes. And then we'll come back. We'll show you the finished look. And listen, it's been fun talking to you guys, and I'm signing out.